Hi, pretty excited. The new book is available, Saving Sick Fish, and it's a new idea over what I had written before, Koi Health and Disease. Um, this is just 40 pages long. The idea is a quick read so that you can get a degree of expertise at fish disease stuff. Because it turns out all the same things happen over and over again in most fish tanks. And I don't mind telling you, one of the first things is overcrowding and overfeeding, deterioration of water quality, and a high pH. And I know that all that sounds, I don't have to pay attention to all that. But if you don't, um, you might never have healthy fish. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the cover of the book. It's got a picture of a happy kid, and that's because most fish books, especially books about fish diseases, have a tendency to have like a dead fish on the cover, and I just decided I didn't want to do that. I mean, one of the reasons people are going to get this book is so that their kids aren't crying about dead fish. So yeah, so I've got a happy kid on the front with successful live fish, and the general idea is that a mom could get this book and um, save the fish. I set it up with I don't know if you'll be able to make it out. I set it up with lined notebook paper. It's not printed on lined notebook paper, but it looks like it. So the table of contents is on the website, but that's the table of contents. I don't know, you can't see that, but the book itself is basically color throughout, and it takes you through uh, some of the very very basics, like figuring out the volume of your pond or a fish tank, and then it talks to you about crowding and recent handling, and um, tells you how to transport fish if you want to know what the best temperature is for your fish. Because, people get neon tetras and they don't realize that they like to be a little bit warmer. Or they get goldfish and they don't appreciate the fact that goldfish like it a little bit cooler. Not necessarily room temperature, but they can do that. pH that's desired. Um, water deterioration of water quality, nitrogen accumulation, all sounds very complicated, but the book breaks it down into easy bites. It talks about ammonia and nitrite as basically fish pee, which is what it is. And then each of these things goes to like a video. So these QR codes. So like if you wanted to go a little bit deeper and you were feeling nerdy or something, you could scan a QR code and go look at a video about it. And 9 out of 10 of the videos for this book are brand new. They're not just rehashes of my YouTube channel. Um, and there's stuff in here that people that are in the hobby don't know. Um, there's some information about plant agglutinins, for example, although some people know about those, taking my classes. Um, but I don't think a lot of people would be able to tell you why nitrate is toxic, but it breaks it down into a quarter of a page. Um, some information about improving water quality overall, feeding rates and making sure that you're feeding enough and not feeding too much. A whole section on how much to feed. Kind of depends on who you're feeding, because certain species like to eat a lot and certain species don't eat much. And then how to recognize if you're feeding too much or too little. Aeration, more information about aeration because aeration is really important to the fish. Some injuries. If something happens to the fish, like this guy right here kind of got his eye knocked out. This one had his tail bitten completely off. They're not gross pictures, though. I mean, like you could show it to your kids and they're not going to vomit or anything. How to get antibiotics into the fish. What's the value of eucalyptus and tea tree oil in wounds? The dangers of over medicating. Is the tank just plain dirty or is it too clean? Um, Bacterial infections, things to do with infected fish. 6 different steps, basically, that you could do at your house that would probably save them. The value of heat in the management of bacterial infections and what they look like. Again, more of the QR codes for deeper reading. Like if you say you wanted to know more about chloramine tea from Tetra, what is it? How does it work? Why is it such a remarkable product? Because it is. And then it talks about some other products that you can get so that you'd be treating these things. It doesn't refer to some weird website over in Belgium where you're going to be waiting for 6 weeks to get some medicine. This stuff is right down there at PetSmart. And it's got encapsulations. What if it's a fungus? Use of methylene blue. Parasites, what those symptoms are, what they look like, and how the symptoms of parasitism look almost exactly like some water quality problems. And what that means, the use of salt. And then a couple of pages with shotgun treatment so that you wouldn't have to know anything. You could just go, I'm going to do shotgun number 2 on page 27. And just going to put that stuff in there and save the fish, which you would. But there's certain reasons that you'd use shotgun 1 and shotgun 2. Page on viruses, really focusing on what can you do with information about viruses. And then page 29, one of the most important ones is about quarantine. Page 30, how to set up quarantines and what they look like. So easy. You go to Goodwill and you buy a 10 or 20 gallon fish tank, a sponge filter, an air stone, and you're in business. Again, revisits aeration on page 31. Talks about some stuff Jack Gratzik taught about at the University of Georgia. Python water changes, water replacement constant, irrigation to the tanks, some of the water chemistry and ways to manage it. So you could sit there and learn everything about water quality, or you could just add stuff to the water. And I think for a lot of people, just adding stuff to the water, like a pH neutral regulator, is a good thing to do. This goes through medications. There's a QR code for almost all of the medications that take you to the website where you can learn more about stuff like salt. And looks like PROFICIENT has one. There's a recap and resources, and then on page 39, there's a sheet with a table of QR codes. So you go to Johnson Veterinary Saving Sick Fish, and there'll be a resource there, and it'll say something like conserved resource E6, and then you go to the resource code chart and go to E6, and then it's got a code there, 3-digit, 3-character code. They're case sensitive. It's important to know. So if it's a lowercase a, it's a lowercase a. And if it's an uppercase letter, it's an uppercase letter. And then the index so that you can search and find what you need like really, really fast if you're wonder what is a reef-ready tank. Shoot. Carp pox on page 28, live plants on page 12. Volume of water calculations on page 2. I did this in 40 pages, and you could read that. And at the conclusion of that, even though you don't memorize all that, you're not supposed to memorize all that. But after you've read those 40 pages, you'd be pretty good at fish health, and you certainly would figure out why your fish are sick at your house. 40 pages to get pretty good at fish health and figure out what's wrong with yours. And then treatments that are recommended are down at most every place that sells anything. Stuff that you can get pretty easily. And if it's not available immediately locally, you can get it on Amazon, and they have Prime overnight delivery, so it's certainly worth a look. Thank you for looking at the video. I'm happy to introduce you to this new text, and I'm really proud of it. Appreciate you.